have my drink.
No, have your drink.
It's not kosher.
We're already in the middle of our intro, Giselle, who has a drink right now. Miles, the DJ here. Afternoons on Go 96.3, joined by the very talented, the amazing, the incredible Jack Antonoff of Bleachers. Welcome, sir.
That's a nice intro.
Well, you're a very talented man who deserves a somewhat
nice
talented
intro?
Yeah, I'm doing what I can over here.
Thanks, Miles.
How are things going? How's the tour been going
Great.
so far?
This is the last stop.
It's the last time.
Yeah, we go to London, but the last American stop on this. The tour goes on forever, but this part of it, so we're gonna leave it all out there.
Has there been?
If you have a couple days off.
No, going to London tomorrow.
So you can't leave everything.
You guys got a direct flight, Minneapolis to London.
Yeah, I've been on it.
We're like the Delta hub, right?
Yeah.
We're doing big things out here. In
It's
the
big.
Cities, so yeah,
It's
we're
exciting.
doing what we can. I want to say that I have a lot of love for you, and I know this because as we're recording this interview, the Naked and Famous are performing, who I also
love them.
and I'm missing them because I want to spend some time.
That means
with
a
you.
lot to
Yeah.
me.
It's been a long time, man. The new record is fantastic.
Thank you so much.
And I'm so happy you're headlining our show tonight. Go Fest
I love it
17.
out here. I love Minneapolis.
Tell me some experiences. I know you've been here a few times.
I've been here a lot, and I've toured through here so many times throughout the years, in tiny clubs and big places. I feel like I've seen a lot of it. And then I rehearsed at Paisley Park for 3 weeks once, so I got to live here, not live, but stay here for 3 weeks, which you don't get to really know a place, but you get more than
Sure.
one night. And it's just an amazing place. The musical heritage is incredible.
I think Pitchfork just released something, an article about First Ave and the importance of that in the 80s. And you mentioned rehearsing at
amazing.
Paisley Park. I mean, it really is an incredible market for music. And
Well, you play, like, there's all these, like, you go and there's, like, some new venue, and it's like, all this stuff is perfect, this new venue, and you go and it doesn't feel right. Because there's something in the walls in places like First Ave where it's just very inspiring. And as time goes on, there's less and less of those places. You know, we get obsessed with new shit, but it's not always the way.
rehearsing at Paisley Park, I mean, what is that experience like? I mean, you're in Prince's home for a few weeks.
Yeah, seriously.
It was bizarre. It was, I don't know if it was good for rehearsal because I was a little too, like, distracted the whole time.
Was it before or after?
It was before Prince died,
Okay.
and I was very distracted by just, like, being there and, like, seeing stuff. So I was like, all right, we'll rehearse later. So
Of course.
it's like rehearsing in a museum of one of your favorite artists, literally. It's a bizarre thing to do.
One thing I wanted to ask you about was, I know you worked on the New Lord record, which is fantastic, and congrats on #1
Thanks.
album in the
Oh,
country.
nice.
It's cool.
That's very cool.
It's exciting.
I remember a bit of a name drop here, if I could, but I did speak with Lord before Royals really hits.
Okay.
Before that became a big record. And what's interesting about that song to me is that it's about the very thing that it sort of made her in a way. I mean, she is very artistic, obviously never sold out or anything, but it's all about not having money and not having material things, and then she became very famous from that. And I feel that there's a very similar sort of theme with Don't Take the Money, which is your new single. It's the first Bleachers single, I think when the first Bleachers album hits, there was this idea that it was a side project when we know it wasn't, but you know what I mean, it came right after
Totally.
Fun. This is the first record where, you're like established, Bleachers is a thing, we know who you are as Bleachers, and having a song like Don't Take the Money is very cool, but at the same time, it's such a big song. It's our #1 song on Go right now, so I love how you're making...
She wrote that song with me to tie it even more together.
She also,
Yeah.
okay, that's where some of the influence must come from, right?
Is it true that she's in it?
Yeah, she sings in the last chorus. It's I mean, that one, I always love songs that different people, it means totally different things to different people.
Mm-hmm.
And Don't Take the Money, that's this phrase I say in my head. It just is my feeling of just like, it applies to anything. Like you're talking to your friend, like, I don't know what to do, and you're just like, don't take the money. Not even literally about money, but just about, like, basically don't sell out.
Yeah.
So it is all tied to everything that you're talking about.
And it's so beautiful because you're becoming more famous, you're becoming more popular and playing bigger shows because of songs like that are all about kind of sticking to yourself and being artistic without selling out, and yet you're able to play really big shows and get more fans.
The more success you have, I think it's easy for things to change and think, well, now I have to change, but I always try to really remind myself that I only got here because of the way I've been doing it.
Right.
So when you get somewhere, it would be absurd to change the way you've been doing it. It's like if you're running a race and you're doing great in the race, and you're like, wow, I'm doing so great. Would you like shift the entire way that you run and your whole breathing system? It's like
Some people do.
Some people do,
Yeah.
and then they probably gets really weird. I think that writing songs, and whether you're writing songs that 10 people hear or 10 million, you're essentially trying to do the exact same thing, and I try not to get in my head.
We do interviews all the time with artists, and a lot of times we hear, the same peachy, robotic answers over and over. I love how honest you've always been every time we talk to you, how grounded you are. How did you stay that way, and what do you think is advice that you would give to your younger self, like 10 years ago, if you had to do it all over?
I would tell myself to not care. It took me a long time to really not care in a real way what people thought. I mean, surface, of course, but like in a real way when it came to the show and the writing and the albums, because that, if you think about what anyone's going to think of it, you're automatically watering it down. You're automatically taking like the potency of making an album is all about putting yourself into a sound, right? Mm-hmm. So if you start thinking about other things besides what you sound like, you're just watering it down.
Yourself.
Yeah, and I think it's funny that that's something that gets better with age, because a lot of things are the opposite. A lot of times you get jaded and lose sight of things with age. But I think writing, the more you do it, the more you come back to yourself, the more you start to realize what you sound like.
What did it take, do you think? What do you think was that moment? Because some people never get there. Some people are always so concerned about what other people think and concerned about trying to please others.
I spent like 10 years on the road in my first band, Steel Train, and we never had any real success. And I think that experience of wanting to stay out there and wanting to keep doing it without having a real reason to do it just pushed me to want to get better at it.
What were you listening to when you made this record? It sounds like an alternative record, and what I mean by that is I think about when alternative radio kind of started, it broke in like the early 90s, and it was Nirvana and Pearl Jam and R.E.M. and The Cure.
I was listening to a lot of 90s when I was writing.
Were you?
Tons.
'Cause I hear 80s, so where does the 90s influence kind of come in?
The 90s influence comes into me in the sort of the anything goes element.
Yeah.
Like I remember growing up in the 90s, and the concept of alternative music wasn't one sound, it was just alternative to the crap. That's how we saw it, And I still believe in that. It's alternative to whatever is, doesn't matter how big it gets, doesn't matter how big Nirvana or Smashing Pumpkins got. Yeah. They were never what the, jocks were listening to or whatever when I was in school.
Sure.
And I think so. You look Smashing Pumpkins, Nirvana, Green Day, Red Hot Chili Peppers, these bands sound nothing alike. Nothing alike. So the 90s to me is I could put all these things in here and they don't have to fit into a specific genre. It's alternative because it is alternative to something.
No, man, it's a great record, and there's so many different sounds to it. Let's Get Married sounds way different than Hate That You Know Me and Don't Take the Money. I mean, you're kind of all over the place on this album, which is so refreshing because, we need artists like that in 2017, like Lord, like yourself, to sort of, help us sort of reinvent what this genre, what this format is. So, what can we expect from you in the next year or two? What's on deck?
Yeah, is Bleachers going to be something that sticks? Are you going to go back to fun? Are you going to do something totally different? Go solo?
Well, I love this phase of being on tour because I think the music gets redefined with people. It's for people, so when people hear it, it's already becoming redefined. So I'm very focused on touring, at least for the next few months. And then I've just already sort of been writing again, so I don't know. I try not to think too far ahead. Everything I've done, including Bleachers, was born out of just like a feeling like, I just want to do this. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's the best way to be good to the people who emotionally invest, is just give them wherever you're at. Never do something because it makes sense. Don't take the money.
You've become one of the most, if not the most sought after, songwriter and producer on the planet. This guitar player from Steel Train, and it's just so cool to see how you've turned into such a credible and huge artist. I saw an article recently, I can't remember who wrote it, but it was Jack Antonoff, music's new renaissance man. You're kind of all over the place right now, man. Was there a moment, maybe it was making a record with Taylor Swift, I don't know what it was, but was there a moment where you sort of took yourself out of yourself in a sense and looked at what you were doing and said, wow, I really kind of made it? What's the most eye-opening moment that you've had so far as an artist?
I don't often have that feeling, but sometimes at the headlining shows.
Yeah.
Or we played a show in Columbus recently, and there was just a lot of people there, and they were all singing, and I just kind of had a moment where I was like, that's it. Everything, it sort of all, tonight, it all boils down to that moment when you get a lot of people together who all care about something in a room. But I don't know, I really, really keep my head down and just keep working.
Anyone you haven't worked with that you want to work with? In particular?
I mean, I've always wanted to be in a room with Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead.
Yeah.
Not necessarily Radiohead, but just him.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a
Yeah.
Oh wow.
t-shirt.
Yeah.
I wonder if I didn't even notice that. I wonder if that's.
It's a thing.
Yeah,
I probably saw that, and that's why.
Favorite Radiohead album?
Kid A, which is controversial.
No, it's not controversial at all.
I feel like it is. It is
Really?
amongst my friends.
What do they like?
Everything before that,
I think In Rainbows. I mean, okay, we'll get to a whole Radiohead thing for a second.
or
That's
maybe
okay.
even Amnesiac. Sometimes I think that's controversial.
Amnesiac is the most underrated Radiohead
Yeah.
record, in my opinion. Right, Giselle?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think In
Don't like
Rainbows.
Radiohead?
No, I'm just not as well versed as you
Who's
guys
your
are.
favorite?
So I'm just listening.
What are
Yeah.
you? What's your
Yeah.
favorite thing?
Favorite thing like ever?
Band.
Right now?
Yeah, artist.
Oh my gosh, on the spot. Right. I mean, I actually right now, like today, I love Muna.
They're the best. I
love them
Muna.
so much.
But they've
I've
been on
seen
tour
them
with
do-
us for a while.
I know,
Yeah.
and I've seen them do small shows and sell out, small places. So to see all their success and to also hear how highly they speak of you,
I love them.
It's so inspiring. I love being able to follow a band, from kind of conception to
Yeah.
to see them explode. So no, I don't hate Radiohead at all. I'm not familiar, so I'm just listening and taking it all in. And now I know that Miles at the end of the day is going to give me some homework of like, hey, you need to listen.
I'll make you a playlist later.
No, yeah, it's been a thing. Like this is Miles' shirt.
Radiohead's funny. It's funny how
Continue.
they've like become like old school out of
Is it?
nowhere. Yeah, because to me it was always like right on the. It's just funny how like a lot of the people I know now are just like, oh, that older band Radiohead. I'm like, what the fuck's happening?
Totally. Well, they had that 20th anniversary of Kid A happening this
That's
year.
weird.
Which never ends, it seems like.
Yeah.
I feel like every day there's a new song that pops up or something. So, we're getting the go home queue, so we gotta get going. Yeah, we have
That's it?
we have some people to meet right now.
Oh,
We
yeah,
have a
fair
meeting to do. We can talk all day, but Jack from Bleachers, thank you so much for the time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for headlining.
Really nice
the
to talk to you.
show.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to
And
be here.
Jack Antonoff, Bleachers, a very talented man.
Cannot wait.
Hopefully the interview was okay for all of you watching.
Yeah, and I got some homework to do.